Yeah.
Welcome back to another episode of 3L Life, Love, and Law. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about going through different seasons with respect to friendships and maybe a little bit of just relationships in general and the process of letting go and when to let go and when you've outgrown people and situations and how that's had an impact in your growth in your personal journey. And so I'm going to be asking you, Bobby, is there a specific person? Obviously, I'm not going to be mentioning any names, but is there a situation, a moment that you can think of that really made you take a step back and maybe just remove the person or remove yourself from the situation altogether, and why?
Well, I don't really cut people off.
I do.
I know you do. I kind of just know how to deal with them moving forward.
Mm,
Like emotionally, I kind of cut them off. Like I feel like this is the love aspect of the 3L. And love is a huge thing for me. God is love. We have to have self-love. You need people around you that we love. We need to love our family. But also underneath love is trust. And I feel like once someone shows you who they are, you got to believe them the first time. I didn't always do that as
mhm.
the younger version of me. I would give people chance after chance, whether it was a relationship or a friendship. And now I'm like, look, you burned me the first time. I know it hurts. So I'm not gonna get burned again. Because the fool me one time is like shame on you, fool me twice, it's on me. Like J. Cole said, fool me twice, can't put the blame on you. Because it's my fault then. Because now you already showed me who you were. So why would I allow you back in that space? So what I do is I don't really I think for guys, and maybe it's a woman thing, I don't know. I have to ask you that question. I think it's easier for women to do it, but for guys it's like, if one of my boys did something shady, I know I couldn't trust him again. Only way I would cut him off is he like tried to fight me or something, or tried to, hurt my family or something. Like he's trying to, yeah, take my girl away from me or something like that. And that's a whole nother thing, by the way, because that makes me think about some situations.
Oh.
But yeah, but because I've had situations where girls can come in the mix and cause drama between guys. They try to, but we like, nah, we ain't about that. So I feel like once people just show you who they are, you have to just believe them the first time, because if not, they're gonna show you again and again and again. And if they take an inch, they're gonna take a mile, then they're gonna take 1,000 miles, they're gonna take a marathon, a triathlon, until you get it and create that boundary for yourself. So I feel like for me, I just put boundaries up. I don't cut them off. Like they don't know. Like we'll still be cool if I see you. I'm gonna dap you up, everything. But I'm gonna be a little more standoffish. But they may not even notice it, because I have friends that didn't notice it. Um, that I just kind of put a wall, a boundary up, because I'm like, okay, I can't trust you anymore. So I've had many people cross me in that way, but I've had it happen before, and I'm just like, okay, I know moving forward how to handle you, how to deal with you. Gotta play chess, not checkers. What about you?
I think I'm the opposite. I think that obviously there is that emotional detachment, but there's also that physical separation. I have no problem. When something happens, it doesn't have to be the level of, doing something like causing harm or doing something against necessarily against me or my family. I think for me can just be the very basic values that I hold dear to myself and what I look for in a friendship or in a relationship. And I think that once those values are tested, um, then I don't need you. It could be for the smallest thing, and I'm not saying small. I'm not saying a small thing like, you poked fun at me. I have friends. I mean, you just kind of have to know the nature of that relationship. And so, for example, you poke fun at me and I
It's like,
poke
give me an example.
Right. I think for me, so with Joanna, and Joanna, I know you're probably gonna be watching this, but I like to mention it. You and Joanna are very similar in the fact that you guys like to poke fun at me, but it's not anything serious. So I remember in college, I went to her office.
You get your jokes off too.
I know that
Don't
I
front.
and I
Don't
admit that.
front.
and I'm
Yeah,
not fronting because I admit it,
you
and I'm
get yours
admitting
off too.
it. Okay, anyway, and so I remember going to her office when I was a student, and she's like, "Oh, you didn't think about combing your hair today, or did you forget to comb your or something, brush your hair?" But for me, it's like I could have easily been offended and be like, ew, you know? But it's because we had that friendship, and same thing with you. Like we poke fun at each other. So I'm not saying small things like that. That's not what I mean. I mean, if for example, I had this other friend, and if she's watching this, so now you know why I have this like emotional detachment.
Uh-oh, got an exclusive.
But no, but it is what it is because I've
Yeah, it
outgrown the
is.
situation and the
We're
person. So I
grown.
remember when her son was born, she didn't really have that support. And I understand exactly what it means to give birth and also feel overwhelmed as a first-time mom and be taking care of this little like bundle of joy. And I remember
Mhm,
offering myself, and I thought it was and every time I would mention it, she would respond to every other text message. We can be talking about the dirt, we can be talking about, anything and everything under the sun. But when it came to that, being able to go into the hospital, she gave birth 2 blocks away from where my grandmother is. I would go visit my grandma. I could easily have brought her food, and I thought it was because if it's still COVID, even though it's a year later after people were mostly vaccinated, but she would never respond to that. So I thought it was because maybe didn't want outside germs or people, and I understood, right? Especially giving birth during the height of 2020. And then I thought it was something against me or just against other people being around her son. Fine, I can accept that, I can receive it. But then when I saw another mutual friend of ours went to go visit and she posted on her story, and I remember seeing the story. I remember telling my mom, I bet you within the next 5 to 10 minutes, and I was driving too. Obviously, we came to a stop. But right,
yeah.
right.
Safe
And
driving.
I remember telling her, I bet you she's gonna reach out to me like, "Hey, love, and but let's get the boys together." I told that to my mom. I kid you not, within those 5 to 10 minutes, she responded to me and she
Wow.
messaged me and just saying, "Hey, love, just want to see how you're doing. I'm back from X country, and I wanted to meet up so our boys can hang out." And I was looking at her when she was pregnant and told me she was. I was excited, right? Because I thought, "Oh my gosh, I'll have a mom friend."
Mhm.
And so I thought that we were going to grow closer in that regard, but I just thought that there is a reason why she didn't respond to my messages, and then I stopped responding to her messages. So she would message me probably 2, 3 times after the fact, and I would respond to everything else minus, "Oh, let's get the boys together. Let's get the boys together." And for me, it's just I don't something rubbed me off like the wrong way, and I just I removed myself emotionally and physically, obviously, because I never met up with her. Emotionally, because I was very standoffish and I just didn't care to be in that space with her. And I just don't agree with if there was an issue, if there was something as to why she didn't want the help or need the help, at least communicate that with me. But when you're posting a story of other people outside of her family that are mutual friends and they're visiting and holding your son, it's just
It's
what are
like
you
rubbing it in your face, you know?
I don't know, and I told myself something in my heart. I looked over to my mom and said, "Watch her message me. Watch her." And I got a text message from her. And so I'm like,
That is
"Okay, really?"
crazy.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. I don't mean
Yeah.
like big things like you did harm to me or to my child, to my family. No, no, no. I mean things
No, but
small
it's
like
the
that.
principle. Yeah.
Mm,
With
mm,
those things, it's the principle because, like, come on. Like, if you have an issue, just tell me. If
right.
we're truly friends, you can be honest and tell
Yeah,
me. And that's the thing. Like when you were saying about me and Joanna, we both are honest.
yeah.
We're honest with you. Like I want you to, you'll do the same for me. If I'm looking crazy, you're gonna tell me. And I need that, because I may not realize. I may be in a hurry and then, or whatever, I might have missed the spot or something.
Right.
So you need people in your life that are gonna be honest like that. And I feel like for men though, we're not emotional. So it's like certain things we just shrug off, but at the end of the day, it's still the principle, it's like me knowing I can't trust, like, people are flaky or shady. I don't like that. Like my dad would say, they clouded with a chance of rain
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because just
Yes.
shady, just like, I don't like being able to not depend on somebody. And I always pride myself in being dependable. So for me, underneath that love umbrella is respect, trust, and loyalty and honesty. And if you can't do those things and be a
Right.
genuine person for
On
me,
the daily, right. You don't get to
yeah,
pick and choose.
consistently. Yeah,
Right.
it can't be
No
when you
cherry
feel like
picking.
no. And see, that's why with that stuff, you knew she was playing you shady. And you're very perceptive and you have a very strong discernment about people.
Mhm.
Like how you just knew, oh, she's about to text me.
Yeah.
I would never thought of that, but you have that gift. You really do. and you can read people and you can see things coming. You may not want to believe it always because
Mhm.
sometimes it's hard to believe depending on who it is, but you can see it coming. So that's a gift in itself too, because I know I don't. Sometimes I have blinders with people because it's like you just want to believe the best in them. I want to see the best, but sometimes you just gotta see it for what it is.
Mhm.
And that's why I need friends like you who will tell me no.
Yeah, right.
Uh-uh.
Right, right, and it's also how you deliver it too, because sometimes when you say certain things to me, I don't, say, "Oh, he has my." It's because I know you so well, and I trust you with your feedback or with whatever you have to say, with your opinion, and it's just I know that whatever you're saying, it's coming from a good heart, and you're very particular with your delivery of when it comes to certain things. I mean, we do bump heads,
Oh
and
yeah, for
but
sure.
I feel like honestly, for the most part, we argue pretty fair. I don't think it's just, we do things like for me, I do admit I'll just press click, I'll hang up the phone because I'm like over it. But it's not, but I think it's something because I'd rather remove myself from a situation. You too. You and I would rather remove ourselves from a situation
I've done it
than
before.
be in that space where we're then speaking out of anger. We're speaking we're emotionally charged and we're speaking from that point, and it's going to be so much more undoing than I think it's better to remove yourself than to kind of undo what just happened because you were so emotionally charged.
I actually understand when if you hung up on me or something, like, even though I may not like it in the moment, but
You do it to
I've
me
done it
too.
before. I've done it before, not often,
Don't be
but I've done it.
fronting.
It's been a long time. I haven't done it because sometimes you just want to remove yourself before you say something you might regret. And you
I
don't want to
agree.
get to the point of no return with the person. Some friendships are so valuable. You really hanging up on you is almost like for the best for everybody.
I
So like
agree.
for me,
That's
if
why
somebody
I
hang up
do
on
it.
me, I'm not calling you back. You're gonna have to call me back. Like I'm not about to be like, oh, I know they didn't hang up on. You might get a text later, like, wow, that's messed up. But I understand at the end of the day. And I feel like for us, we know how to let things go. One thing
Mhm.
I appreciate about you is that you'll let it go. Like we don't hold that grudge with each other. I don't like to hold grudges anyway because I'm like, why am I carrying it? I don't want to hold this. I don't want to carry this burden. Like, forget it. Dump it out, recycle it or take it to the trash.
Take it to the
Some
trash.
people, some people can be recycled, some people need to be
Ah. Mm,
gotta be tossed out.
yeah.
But I'm just like, we don't hold, we just move on. Like we'll have a disagreement, we'll argue like brother and sister, and then
Right.
next thing you know, it's like we over it, and we on to the next thing.
Or
And
we'll
I
just
like
like
that
laugh
we can
about it or
keep it
look at each
moving.
other. If we're on FaceTime, we'll just look at each other and we'll just be like, and we'll just start
Right, and then
smiling.
laugh. And like it ain't that deep,
And you'll be like, "You're so
like come on now.
annoying."
I know. Like, ugh. All right, let's go to the next thing. Because
Yeah,
we got things to do. I mean, it's no point of holding that we're grown, we're mature, we got other things to do. It's like, why?
yeah,
But some friendships are valuable enough where you can do that, but some are not. So let
yeah,
me ask you this: like with those situations where, and it could be friendship, relationship,
mhm,
family, whoever, because you have a
mhm,
relationship with all these people.
mhm.
What would make you like? What would be like a deal breaker thing? Like it's an example of when you were like, okay, I'm done with them. Because even with the friend that had the baby, you may still deal with her, but I got to feed you with a long handle spoon now because now I can't trust you as far as I can see you. So I got to keep
Absolutely.
keep you at a distance. You know what I mean? And that's what I call like I'm gonna feed you with a long handle spoon.
Mhm.
Like I'll still feed you, but it's gonna be a long. I don't want you that close where I gotta get a real spoon. I'm gonna get you a long handle one so you can still be back. So I posted the thing that on my Instagram where it says sometimes you gotta stay in touch but out of reach. Cause some
Mm,
people is like, I don't need you in my space, but I still want to make sure you're okay. I wish you well.
right,
God
right.
bless you. I still got love for you, but I can't deal with you on a daily. What's an example of a time where you was just like, all right, I'm done and it's no coming back?
I think for me, it's not necessarily pinpointing a specific situation. I think it's just looking at it from more a general, because at the end of the
Well,
day,
you don't have to say what they did because I know you may want to put
no,
them on blast, but like,
yeah,
what would it take? what
No, and I
could
have an
they
answer
do?
to that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think for me, it's the inaction. So the inaction for me is not showing up when, as a friend, there would be that expectation where you would show up. If you can, you would, right? And not using excuses or, maybe it's just because they're dealing with their own insecurities, or maybe they're I just think being able to put those insecurities or those moments to those feelings to the side and really showing up for you. So with me, it's people who know my story, especially gone through like law school and experiencing from like homesickness to, we'll talk about this later, but even from like my, like the eating disorders. I mean, it's just looking at those lows in my life and knowing who was there and who was not, and then also looking at the highs in my life, and that is passing the bar, that is having moments where I'm celebrating myself and who is really present. And I think that when I saw who was there and who were not present, it made me take a step back and say, you know what, this isn't going to be tick for tack. Well, when you have your special moment, I'm just not going to show up. It's more so, wow, when I am, wanting to give back and do more, because I'm the type of person, I will bend over backwards for you. If you need something, if I can, even if I have like the last $5, here you go. Because at the end of the day, I know that I will get that $5 down, maybe never, or maybe down the line. But I think for me, it's just knowing that there are people who could like your post, could comment, or maybe not. But then when it came to the inviting and come and celebrate these triumphant moments for me and with me, where are you? And then it's just they're not there. And why do I want people in my circle who I think are there supporting? Because if you're not there when it really, really counts, it only makes me realize that, or maybe make me think that our friendship isn't genuine or isn't as close, because I would have showed up
Mhm.
even if I'm at a point in my life where all these beautiful moments are happening for you, maybe not for me, because my season will come, right? So it's not a matter of comparing, but it's just, why aren't you there? Why were you not there? And I think for me, that's unforgivable. And I think it's just, I don't think I can move past. I think that will be my breaking point. And it's not necessarily because I'm gonna wish harm upon. I'm not like that. It's just more so when I'm giving back and I'm doing certain things, like, and really, doing things randomly, right? For someone, it's just I'm going to not do it at all. And by that I mean, for example, being with you, right? I know you obviously been there through the highs and the lows, but it's just there are some people like yourself that I'm willing to bend over backwards, and do things that I definitely would not do for other people, because they're not worthy of my action, of my heart, of my sincerity. And I think that for me would be what I would consider a deal breaker with respect to removing myself altogether. What about you?
Mhm. Yeah, as you were talking, I'm like, wow, I can relate to that because I feel like once you can't depend on somebody, especially like you said, in good times or bad, like if you can't be here to celebrate me, then are you celebrating or are you tolerating? You know what I mean? So it's like
Mm,
one of those things where I may not cut you off for not showing up, but I may not invite you to anything else because that was a special moment for me, and I've been there in special moments for you. Why can't you make the same sacrifice for me? I understand we're all busy, we all have families, other obligations, jobs, but it's like, come on, when you show up for people, that really means a lot because you're taking time out that you could be doing anything else, and but you showed up to support them, so that means a lot. Sometimes, like I don't need gifts. I don't need like people to give me things, but if I have something for my birthday, I just want people to come. That to me is all I need. I don't need anything in return because I feel like you making a sacrifice to give me your time. That's the
yes.
most valuable thing you can give someone. So I don't need anything else, and it's just hard because I know for me, I try to be there for people. And if I don't get that in return, it's just disappointing on a lot of different levels. Now, with regards to relationships. I know we both have had our share.
Mm,
You know about mine, I know about yours.
right, right.
Over the past 12, 13 years that we known each other. But um that one can be tricky. I definitely, not to go back too far in the memory bank because I'm like some stuff I'm like I want to forget. That it's harder. Any situation I feel any relationship is harder when you love the person, or have love for the person. You'll give them chances that you wouldn't give a normal person or an associate acquaintance. You'll give them more chance because you can see the best in them. You can see that they want to, or you think they'll want to do better and correct their wrongs and feel apologetic about doing things, but you still have to have limitations and boundaries with that. So do you have any examples in a relationship context where you love the person, but it's like sometimes you have to love people enough to let them go. And sometimes you have to love and choose you first as well, and not put their needs over yours because they're not putting your needs over theirs. So it's
Especially when they're
like,
not doing that. Right.
yeah, if they're looking out for them and you're looking out for them, who's looking out for you?
Right.
Nobody. So do you have
Do
any
I?
examples of that?
I think because of my personality, that's just who I am, stemming from like just friendships from elementary school to the point where now then carry that over into the, I guess, romantic side or just relationship in that regard. But I remember in elementary school, I was like a people pleaser where, even if I had this one girl told me she asked me to get her like a stapler, I think it was, or like scissors. And I told her no. I think it was one of the first times or the first time that I said no to one of her requests. And she said, well, then I'm not gonna be your friend anymore. And I'm like, and I felt like such a sucker. And I went and I went to go get it for her. I went to go get it for her. And so I had a lot of those moments, and with friendships, with also with relationships, it's more so trying to, you know, please the guy or do what he wants. Or for
Mhm.
example, a few years ago, like I think immediately after I graduated from law school, I was dating one in particular, and we went shopping together. And he said, "Oh, well," I think he was really into a certain fashion, certain style. And I remember he was like, "Oh, you should get this because it looks so nice on you." But it was completely out of at the time, and it still is. It was out of why I thought was like something that I would personally wear, but because I knew it would make him happy, I'm like, I guess so. It was very like punk rock. And if you know my personality and how I dress, that is not me. I'm not about the
Yeah,
chains, and that's good for someone else, but it's not my style. It's not my person. It still
right.
is, even after all these years. And I remember just doing it for that purpose. And I remember making decisions where, knowing that I have really big responsibilities and not prioritizing those responsibilities, all because you can find me at the beach with this guy, or we would go and have dinner, and it's just again, while he's just focusing on himself and his growth and his I guess upward mobility. Where am I in all of this? Am I putting aside my own goals, if am I compromising my being, my very core, my essence, just to make sure that he is quote unquote like taken care of, or he's attended for, or he is getting everything that he wants? Where am I in all of this? And so I would definitely neglect myself. And you know this because you would even tell me like, he doesn't even deserve your time, your worth, your body. And so for
I
me,
did. I don't remember what it was. Yeah, we'll talk offline. Uh,
but and I think for you, and I think something that I did appreciate is that you wouldn't make me feel that I'm making the most I'm making the most uh, you know, I'm trying to find the word for it, but I'm making not I'm making a decision that obviously isn't for me, but you allowed me and you gave me the space for me to realize it on my own, as opposed to just telling me you're an idiot, like stop being so dumb. Like you never made me feel that way. It's just you had to learn for yourself. And that's the mentality that I also kind of adopted when I'm giving advice too, because sometimes it's not worth just trying to tell them like, don't do this, or you can't do this, or why are you even doing this? It's more so giving them that perspective and that space to then realize things for themselves. And I had to learn those lessons on my own. And that's something I appreciated from you, because if you didn't make me feel like I was the dumbest person, even though now I'm looking back, I'm like, girl, you were so that pathetic, but it was a learning opportunity. And that's what it is. It was a lesson that came from all of that. I don't think I have I probably do have specific instances, but none that I'm probably willing to share at this very this early on. But I think it's just doing a lot when he did not deserve, or what they did not deserve any parts of me. And now it's just figuring out, that balance, because it's hard. It's hard trying to figure out your needs, your expectations versus their needs and their expectations, and trying to find something that works, that blends. It may not be perfectly blended, but finding something that you're okay with, that you could live out the next 50, 60, 70 years, and really being one with another. And it's something that's an ongoing journey, at least for myself.
Well, I mean, I'm married and it's still I've been married almost 4 years and it's still a journey because you're always constantly. I heard Kurt Franklin say you're married to somebody for a lifetime because it takes that long to get to know somebody.
Yeah.
He's like you're
Mhm.
constantly knowing the person, and it definitely takes work. And I had an ex in law school. You met her. Had a few of them, but this one in particular. The
Hmm.
one I had for the majority of law school, or like the
Okay.
first half. And I that was the first relationship when I was like, I'm really gonna put effort in, like normally, when I was dating girls in college and stuff, it was like, I know it wasn't gonna last. I mean, I'm not looking for a wife. I'm like, I'm just trying to, learn things, but I'm like, they did something I didn't like, it was like, bye. I mean, I was really quick to end things because there was so many more to choose. I'm like, whatever. I mean,
Typical.
I just was immature and, I just was surface level with relationship. I never got deep. I wasn't in love with you. It's like, yeah, you're cool, you're fun, you're cute, but there's 100 more that's cuter. So I was always, guys were looking for the next best thing, just typical dumb guy. So when I got with her, I was like, okay, this is my first like adult kind of being in love. And so I felt like I need to put forth like 100% effort, so no matter what she did, I would deal with it, even though I would never have dealt with that stuff before. I would have been like, peace. I had like low tolerance for just, silly stuff. But with that relationship, I really learned that I still have to voice how I feel no matter what. And I kept my mouth shut about things I knew I should have spoke up about. And when I did speak up, she listened. So I knew I could have done it, but I just didn't do it as often as I needed to. But it taught me in that relationship, when a man is walking in his authority as a man, a woman will listen. But if he's not, she's gonna chew you up and spit you out.
Yeah.
And I learned that lesson real quick. So we just have to know what we want and what we're worth and what boundaries we have. Because even in a
Yeah.
relationship, you still have to have boundaries.
Yes.
You still have to have a point of, this is how far are you going to go with that one. Everybody has their deal breakers. Everybody has their limitations. So you just have to express what they are to the person, so they'll know, okay, I can't go there with him or I can't go there with her because that's too far. And one thing I can appreciate about, the friendship that we have in particular is that we know kind of what those limitations are. We know
Do we?
we know what out of bounds is, we know what how to go too far. We're battle tested as far as that. Cause it's kind of like we grew up together in law school. I was an adult, 20 something years old. If you were an adult, but it was like we still were growing up. I feel like we're still in school. We haven't gotten to our career yet. Once I graduated from law school, I felt like, okay, I'm a full-fledged adult who's, in my career now, not
Mm,
just working jobs, it's a career.
right.
So you need people in your life that can help you get to that, especially when, and I had a lot of support and I still do. And I'm definitely grateful for that. But I feel like, we continually need to have that support for each other and for the people around us because we're going to uncharted territories. This is places we haven't seen people go. And most of us, me and you, especially, are first generation, our family. So we don't have an aunt or uncle we can call or be like, how you navigate this. We just have to figure it out and do our best and pray.
Yes.
and it's been working so far. But just put one foot in front of the other. Now, how would you like to wrap this up as far as, because I know we don't want to get too deep, especially with personal relationships, because got to protect the other parties.
There's a boundary with
They're not
that.
here to defend themselves.
Right.
So how would you put a nice bow in this and wrap it up?
I would say if a relationship is stripping away the core values that you yourself have, and when you no longer feel like you are continuously your authentic self, that should be one of the
Mm,
biggest indicator to really think about stepping away and whether or not you should step away. It's not making that impulsive decision where it's just, okay, I'm out. It's just really assessing who you were maybe before the relationship and who you have become during that relationship, and whether that's someone that you are proud of or that you are happy to be, um and whether that's someone who you want to become later down the line. And I think that once it starts to chip away the many things that make you who you are and takes away from that, it's just okay, whether that relationship is worth fighting for and whether that relationship is worth staying in. So that would be my being able to pull the ribbon and tie it tight.
well, you just made me think of another question. Can you be friends after a personal relationship? I'll say that, not friends, not a friendship, but like a. Can you be friends with your exes? I guess it depends on what they did, but or what
I
how it
think
ended.
if you had the friendship way prior and you gave the dating experience an opportunity and it just didn't work out, I think it depends on what that friendship looked like before. If it was purely romantic from the beginning, and if I come into the picture, then absolutely not. But if it's a friendship where that, maybe you had, and I'm not looking at the length of the friendship, it's more so what kind of friendship did you have
Mhm.
prior, and also where is that other friend. If that other friend is still, still sticking around because maybe there's some hope, then it's just, I think there's so many different layers to it that I would have to assess it based on what the friendship looked like before. Um, why didn't it work out? Or, and also being able to see and feel comfortable in that piece that there is a genuine friendship. And I feel like a part of that would be me assessing that sincerity, because if it just because you don't have a label or a title to a relationship and I still feel like there's some flirtation happening, it's just no, that's not happening. So I think it's just being able to evaluate.
Boundaries.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, because I could say, you and I, we've never obviously crossed that line, but I wouldn't feel comfortable if, being your friend while trying to move on with someone and knowing that we still have this not awkward, but this just very fluid relationship where there isn't that boundary. And that's what you said earlier. It's just whether the boundary is apparent, whether it's fixed, and whether that boundary is respected. And so I think only then I'll be able to maybe entertain the idea, but maybe that might be the logical reasoning, or explanation, and maybe the heart and just deep down it's just, "Oh, heck no." But I don't know. I really don't know. What are your thoughts, before wrapping this up?
Friends with my ex, no, I can't
Okay.
do it.
Okay.
I just have a bright line rule where if I dated you, you asked for a reason.
Mhm.
So
Even if
not
you
that you're a
were
bad
childhood
person,
friends?
yeah, it
Mm,
doesn't matter. I
okay.
only had one that I had one ex that I was still friends with up until I got married and I cut it off. But
I didn't
I
know that. Okay.
yeah, I was just like I had to cut it off just because we had crossed that line. I'm like anybody who I've crossed the line where I can't be friends with,
Mm.
being in a serious relationship was like no, I have to just cut it off. But yeah, I already had that rule before. If I ever dated with any girl I've dated, I'm cool with them. Like I want to see you doing well. I see you on Facebook, tell you happy birthday on there or whatever. But I just feel like I have to take that out of it. And even though, well, I would say there's probably two that I've I remain like really cool with it, but most of us like no. And I've had it where a lot of times, well, a few times where the girl didn't want to see me move on, and
That's
that
where
was
the
hard
issue
for her.
it comes into play.
Yeah,
She gotta go.
yeah,
Homegirl
and
gotta go.
that's why I'm like, okay, now you gonna mess up what I got going on currently. No, I can't even have that happen. So I just felt like it's just easier to cut it off. Like I can still be cool. I'm not gonna be like, I never talk to you again. No, I wish you the best. We don't have to be enemies, but
Oh,
I'm not gonna be hanging out with you or none of
calling
that.
you, right,
No, no.
right.
It's a wrap. Like I feel like, yeah, there's no
Okay.
point at this because it just complicates things and it could be muddy, blurred lines and all like you was just saying, yeah. And I just feel like it's easier for both people to just go your separate ways, but you can still be cool, but not friends. So that's why if it is somebody who I was friends with like childhood, I wouldn't even risk probably crossing that line ever. Like if I was
So
single,
you wouldn't even,
because
yes, yes.
just because some friendships are so valuable, you don't want to take the risk of it not working out, and then your friendship you can't unring a bell. The friendship ain't gonna be. It's not gonna be the same. You can define what it is moving forward. And I've heard of people being successful. I just don't think I would be good at it.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that's
this,
my answer to that. See, we coming at y'all with life, love, and law. Not
right.
just legal stuff because we don't want to just talk about that because everybody's interested in that. But relationships is something that everybody can relate to, like
Hmm.
literally everybody, because we all have friendships, we all have relationships with our family, our kids, and significant others. So we all have experience in that area.
Right. And with that being said, I enjoy this conversation because again, it's not just law focused, but it's something that what you
Right.
said you find in everything that we are just social beings. And so there are so many intertwined moments, and it's hard to kind of sometimes remove yourself completely. And it gets very, very complex. But on that note, thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you on the next episode.
See you next week, whenever that week is.
Right, right. And hopefully we'll
Until
be
then,
able to share some exciting news, but that's for another conversation.
yeah, don't
No, I know.
keep that low
I
right
know, I
now.
know, I know.
We got some things in the works, but yeah, just keep praying with us and keep supporting us. We appreciate you also. Be blessed.
Threes out.
Reese out. All right. Have a good one.